All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of Mic Drop Monday. Today we are filming this on June 22nd, which is Sunday. We're going to talk a lot about the pay. Our pay got upgraded. We're going to go into all the little details about that and when the back pay is coming as well. We're going to talk about the CCA versus the PTF offices. Still a big issue out there. We're going to talk about some of the changes in the Article 8 and some of the challenges and some of the questions that are out there. And we're going to talk about the Illinois State Convention, which is coming up this week, and some special guests that we're going to have at our convention. Looking forward to it. And lastly, a reminder, which I'll go ahead and give you guys now, please be safe out there in the heat. All right, let's get this show started. All right, so there was, we knew the Postal Service after they had within 180 days of the Nolan Award, which was March 21st, to implement three things into the pay scale. And they've done two of them. They are effective June 14th, which means you'll see it on your July 4th check. And on the July 4th check, if you're at the top step, your salary went up by $1,000. So maybe what is that, like 50 cents an hour, $1,000. And then if you're a CCA, your pay went up by 50 cents. And that is effective. Like I said, it's effective now. You'll see it on your next check on July 4th. The third thing that you're looking to see is that they're going to eliminate steps AA and A from the career pay scale, and everyone will start at step B. The Postal Service has told us that they expect for that to happen effective July 12th, which is pay period 16, and that will be effective on your August the 1st check. So as of August the 1st, when everyone gets paid at a minimum of step B, which is close to $26 an hour. And then, of course, we have to look forward to another cost of living, which should happen in the first check in September, I believe. And also, there'll be a general wage increase of 1.5% for everybody on the career pay scale. And for CCAs, it'll be a 2.5% raise because CCAs do not get cost of living adjustments. So I know the pay situation is confusing for everybody. We had some kind of dialogue and some action on the Care for Press Facebook page this week. So I wanted to go over some of that stuff. And I guess it's helpful to just look at the pay chart so you can see some of that stuff that we're talking about. And on one of the posts, we put up side-by-side pay charts. And you can see because we've updated the new chart effective June 14th. And when we updated the new chart effective June 14th, the amount of the COLA is actually going to go down going forward, just a little bit. But, it still kind of sticks in your craw a little bit because the cost of living adjustment is a percent of your pay to step P. So if P is $1,000 and you're getting $600, these are just throwing out easy numbers, then you'll get 60% of the COLA. And we don't know what the COLA amount will be yet, but when we do get that next COLA, everyone's percent will be a little bit lower just because, or everyone's amount will be just a little bit lower because when you raise step P up, you're now less of a percent to step P. So for example, step P got $1,000 raise, and so now they're further away from you, and so you're a lower percent if you're at any of the other steps in the pay scale. And it's not that much money, but we do not get, and the APW just came to agreement. They haven't ratified their contract yet, but they just came to an agreement on a contract where they are getting the full amount. I don't want to say a full COLA because a cost of living adjustment is still not equal to the rate of inflation. It's still a percent of the rate of inflation, but that amount is in the APW contract is applied to every step. In our contract, it's a proportional COLA. And so that amount is going to be just a little bit lower now that step P went up. Of course, it's important that step P goes up because you're going to spend, hopefully, if you're going to do this forever, you're going to spend most of your career at the top step, and then into retirement, you want to factor in your high 3, or the way it is now. If they change the law, it's the high 5, but whatever. What you're making at the end of your career is how they factor what your retirement is going to be, or what your pension is going to be. So the higher that amount is, the higher you're going to make in perpetuity, into retirement. So it's not that we don't want that amount to go up. We do. It's just that because we get a proportional COLA, it's actually going to lower just a little bit that cost of living adjustment. So anyway, that was one thing we wanted to point out to everyone. The other thing that came up a lot of, now that people are seeing those increases, they want to know about the back pay. And the back pay is going to be, it's all the hours that you worked from August 26th of 2023. So in the contract we were working under, of course, we didn't get a raise all that time, right? And that contract expired May 20th of 2023, and August 26th was the first cost of living that we didn't get. So that's the first day of the back pay period. And it goes up until April 18th, I want to say. I don't know why I have April 18th in my head. I hope that's not a wrong date, but it goes up until, yeah, because on April 19th, all of the back pay rolled in. So on April 19th, we didn't get it until 3 weeks later on that paycheck in May. But on April 19th, our pay was updated. And when I say updated, everyone got like a 6.3% raise in the career pay scale, and your pay was updated to include the cost of living allowance in 2023, August 26th, your 2 cost of living allowances in 2024, and your cost of living allowance in 2025. So 4 cost of living allowances and 2 general wage increases, 1.3% in November of 2023, 1.4% in November of 2024. So those 6 pay increases all were on, in our pay starting April 19th, 2025, and we saw it. We saw a big increase in our pay in that first paycheck in May. And so what you're looking at is back pay for all of the hours that you worked, for whatever pay rate, whatever, time and a half, penalty, whatever the rate of pay applicable is for that time, you're going to get that amount. So what you see on the screen, just letting people know, this is a bare minimum, assuming you worked 40 hours. Now, you could have been an LWOP for a period of time. You didn't have any work hours, but any paid hours, work hours, leave hours, whatever, any paid hours between August 26th of 2023 and April the 18th of 2025 are going to be included in the back pay, which the Postal Service is saying they're on track to give us the back pay in sometime in August, maybe early September, somewhere around there. And you're looking at anywhere between $1,500 on the low end up to maybe $5,000-$6,000 on the high end, depending how many hours you worked. I guess it could be even higher than that if you were working a ton. So one of the questions is, are we going to go back and resettle our grievances, based on the new pay rate? Let's say they had to pay you at time and a half for overtime you didn't get, and they paid you at the previous pay rate, but of course now we got an updated pay rate. Nobody's going back and calculating that. So for people that have left the city carrier craft, as long as they're still a postal employee, they should still get their back pay if they worked any hours during that period. If they left the Postal Service, I do not know. I do not think they'll get their pay. Obviously, if people have retired, they should get any of the hours, and their annuities have to be recalculated. For those of you that are trying to estimate your annuity right now, you should be able to estimate. I don't know. It's going to be harder to estimate your annuity because of the delay in getting the back pay and updating all the pay. But OPM is supposed to go, and for any annuitants, retirees, they're supposed to go back and fix all that and give you the difference and update your monthly annuity based on the pay you should have had when you retired, if all of the back pay would have rolled in. So back pay to me is I hate it. I hate the delay. I hate that the post office holds on to our money. I hate that they don't give us any interest on the money they're holding on to. I hate that we got to go back and try to calculate and see if they did it right. And, certain situations like when people quit and people retire, it's just really hard to recreate that wheel. So, just one more reason why you don't want to delay the implementation of a new contract. Hopefully, this time we've learned our lesson. I think most of our members have, but the president who is negotiating the contract in 2026, we will begin negotiations again in February of 2026. I don't know if he's learned that lesson, but God, man, we got to move this thing along a little bit quicker. And look, if we're gonna anyway, we got to push the issue. If we can't get the contract we deserve, we need to go to interest arbitration, and no different than what happened last time. But I'm not going to go back and I'm not going to dig all that up. I don't think you guys want to go over that over and over again. We have the contract that we have. I just wanted to make sure that everyone had that information. What questions are you guys getting out there about pay, Sarah or Renee?
The only thing that
Um,
I'm getting is just step P people wanting to know, like, is it gonna be a lump sum of, $1,000 on their next check, because that's what's going around. That's what they're being told. So just been having to clear that up when they're calling down to the branch, because they're reading it as lump sum, like, I'm gonna get $1,000 my next check. And then you
Yeah,
have, or you're gonna say, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's $1,000 increase in your salary, which is approximately 50 cents an hour. You don't get it all at one time, but you wouldn't want to get it all in one time because that would be a one-time payment of $1,000. By the $1,000 being built into your salary, that's better because you're gonna get the $1,000 this year and next year and the year after that. So um, it's a 50 cents an hour raise. If they look at it like that, I think it makes sense for everybody.
And then you have the people who are upset and they want to know, well, why did step P get this and no other step? And yeah, that's pretty much like all the calls that we've been getting down at the branch this week that I've answered, where you got people who are not step P and they're upset that step P is getting that and they're not. So
Yeah.
well, I mean, everybody in the middle is kind of salty, but
yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, everyone kind of got the minimum except for step P got a little bit more, which, like I said, it's good that the top is getting the money, and hopefully those of you that are not at step P, you'll get to step P, and the money will be there when you get there. You'll be getting more money when you get there, versus if step P didn't get that raise, you never get that money, and you never get it in retirement either. So that part, I understand people's frustrations, but that money is going to be there. This is supposed to be a longevity, a career job. So we build the contract based on that, and
Yeah,
that's
but
one of the reasons why that came about.
it's
And the
insane
bottom,
how long it takes to get to step P.
right?
I mean, I understand, like, career and stuff like that, but you got other jobs where it does not take that long to get to step P. And I know that there are a lot of people who want to leave the postal service after this contract because of how long, like, that they didn't shorten it for the people who are already there. So I mean, yeah, I get it, long term you'll eventually get there, but
Yeah.
it takes a while to get there.
I think that we had got it down to 8 years to the top. I know that UPS drivers is like 4 years to the top. So that 12 and a half or whatever. Well, we're 12 and a half after you become career, or if you start as a career employee. So it is definitely too long, the time that it takes to get to step P. I mean, that's definitely an issue in the contract. And there's a lot of little things in the contract, particularly with the pay and the pay schedule, that just is not right, and doesn't make sense. But I was going to say at the bottom, you know, um, the pay. will go up substantially because B will be the starting step, and which also eliminates one step to get to the top, right? Because
Mhm.
when you were at A to P, now you're at B to P, so it takes away 46 weeks to get to the top, which is good. But that pay is still lower than a career clerk, level 6 clerk with the APW. So that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever that that would be the case.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the pay you guys are getting?
Are you getting any of those, Sarah?
Um, the only thing I was getting was well, since I'm at the academy, is when like the PTF's pay increase start, like when the steps are eliminated. But like we obviously just got that information, so
Right.
yeah, and they're all really excited about that, of course.
It's really cool. And you can tell them that on their August the 1st check. August 1 check. That's when everyone will be at least at B, if they don't take them out of the all career model. I don't know if you
Yeah.
saw, Sarah, they took Evanston out of the all career model and they're back. I saw them on the CCA hiring list.
Oh
Ugh.
wow.
It's insane. And I think they took Des Plaines out as well. It's just
Yeah.
their whole this system on the all career model. I've always said it's like a Ouija board. It just there's no real set criteria. It doesn't make any sense. And the Postal Service says, "Oh, we have enough PTFs, so we're going to start hiring CCAs now," even if they don't, even
Yeah.
if their numbers are wrong, even if people have quit. A lot of times they'll say, "You have this number of PTFs," and actually half of them have already resigned, or maybe they even put in the resignation form. Was it 2574? Whatever they put in the
Yeah.
official form, and nobody processed it, or they just quit with their feet, stop coming to work, but nobody has terminated their employment. And so they're saying, oh, we have this number of PTFs, so we're good. We can start hiring CCAs again. And, they're not good. They can't even get all the mail delivered a lot of times. And it's crazy that the Postal Service would come to the conclusion that we're good in an environment where they're paying penalty overtime to get the mail delivered or not
Yeah.
even getting all the mail delivered. Like those two things make no sense and should contradict each other, but in the postal logic it doesn't. And due to the weakness in the negotiation of that all career model memorandum, the Postal Service has all the power. And they're
Hmm.
able to add offices, not add offices to the all career model, take them out. It's really frustrating on our side. And you're in the carrier academy. I go out there a lot to talk to the new carriers. And how do you explain this stuff? It makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah,
gonna make it harder to retain them because even when they're in the academy, they're looking at PTF positions and they're waiting till they get accepted for that before they
Yeah,
make their move.
the
And
ones that
then
are hired as CCAs, you're talking about, right?
yes, yes, like as soon
Yep.
as they find out that there are PTF positions available, they don't care that they have to drive further. They want the career pay
Yeah,
and the benefits right away.
I don't blame them. Yeah, we encourage them, and when we show them like the slide, like we come in there and do the organizing, we show them, hey, these are the offices that you can get a career job tomorrow, and here's how you apply, and um, anyway, of course, you got to try to navigate the Postal Service's career, USPS.com/careers, or their system is so clunky and it's just so hard. Like, if you just want to say, show me the damn career jobs that are in the vicinity of me, there's no
Mhm.
way to do that. It's
Mhm.
you got to really know what you're looking for. And but anyway, we try to help them out and show them because we want all our members to be career letter carriers. That's one of the goals of our union as soon as
So
possible. And if they can do it tomorrow, why not?
So when these offices have carriers that are hired as PTFs and then they transition back to CCA, those people don't lose their spots as PTFs, right?
Correct.
Okay.
They're just the new hires would be CCAs.
Okay.
Right.
yeah, I know. So what you just said with what happened in Evanston, I know that doing the LMOUs, I think that labor sat when they were talking to the postmasters and stuff like that about their locals. They were telling them that if you're a PTF office, you have to remove any CCA language that you have in your locals. And we were telling them, we're like, no, because
Mm-mm,
at any point in
mm-mm.
time, you guys
Yeah.
can convert and go back to, CCAs and stuff like that. So no, like we're not gonna take it out. But I did have a question. Do you know when does that advance leave that PTFs get? Do you know when does that go into effect? It says something about like 40 hours or something like that they're supposed to get advanced. Is it gonna, like, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be prorated, but does all that stuff start July 1st too, or do we not know
I think
that
that's on
one?
the NALC. That
I was
that
gonna
was on
say,
the
I'm
NALC
pretty
site
sure,
too.
pretty sure that information is out.
Okay.
It
Let
should be
me
on the
I can
NELC
share
website.
screen.
We'll try to pull it up right now.
Okay, no,
Yeah.
yeah, I see it right now myself. I just looked. So it starts, yeah, it's in July too. Okay.
Yeah, and so PTFs will get prorated, will they get advanced 40 hours or possibly a prorated amount, depending on at what point in the year they become a PTF. Like you could become a PTF in October or something, and you wouldn't
Mhm.
have 40 hours of leave for the rest of the year, but you'd get advanced 40 or a prorated amount of 40, and CCAs will get the 40 hours of leave advanced to them after the first year. So they won't get it this year, but they'll get it advanced to
Yeah,
them
yeah, it
after
has the next year. Yeah.
next year. Yeah. And that information is up on the screen.
That's kind of crazy.
What's that? I mean, before they didn't get
All year
anything
in order to
advanced to
get
them.
the advance. Oh, it makes sense because it's their first year.
I
Yeah,
mean, you're earning it as you go, and
that's
the
true.
conventional wisdom is that as a PTF or
Hmm.
CCA, you don't know the hours that you're going to work. As a full time regular, you have a guaranteed schedule, and so when they advance the full time regular to annual leave, there's a really good assumption on what that's going to look like. But for auxiliary workforce, we're kind of used to nowadays,
Yeah.
especially in the bigger offices, but there's still some small offices out there where they may only work 20 hours or whatever. So you're advancing them an amount that they're not really going to earn or they haven't earned yet. So um, I think it's a good compromise. That's why they're not advancing them the
Yeah.
total amount that they would earn for the year. They're advancing them 40 hours, which is, it's enough to get that 1 week vacation if you want to get it. So
I just don't
So
understand how they pick which offices, are gonna become like a PTS office, because I know
in the
you
all
have
career
certain,
model,
yeah, because you have certain offices out there that are like struggling like bad, and the ones that are struggling pretty bad, like they're all like they still have CCAs. So how do you, like, I want just wonder, like, how do they decide, like, yeah, I'm gonna make this office or I'm gonna make that office, like, uh to be all career?
when I tell you they use a Ouija board, it's not a complete exaggeration. They don't exactly use the Ouija board, but it's a weird system that they use. But basically, they're trying to determine offices that cannot hire and cannot retain. But how they go about determining that is really weird. Like you would think one of the criteria would be like if the mail is not being delivered or the payment of overtime and penalty overtime would indicate that they don't have enough staffing. But they look at, they want to know if they've posted jobs and who has applied for those jobs. But as you guys know, nobody cares, especially I mean, I guess in some areas you apply for a job at a particular post office, but what we're familiar with, because we're all carriers in the Chicago area, and if you're a carrier in a large metropolitan area, people apply for the job. They're not applying for the job at such and such post office. They just applying for the job at the post office. And so to say this particular office gets this number of applicants and this particular office doesn't get applicants really doesn't make any sense in that context. But um, anyway, we just keep trying what we do, and I know I'm not the only one that does this around the country. Is we keep submitting names of offices that we think should be in the all career model, and having the post office run their numbers, and sometimes they agree with us, and sometimes they don't. That's the process. And there's a 30-day opt-out clause for either side in this memorandum. So as bad as this memorandum is, as far as there not being any guarantees in there, the Postal Service could possibly just withdraw from the thing completely and they would just start hiring all CCAs and leave us holding the bag. Hope that does not happen, but that's a big concern of mine.
That would be
I know like
so
in
terrible.
yeah, I know
It would be
like in
horrible.
Elmhurst, I don't know about like other, like installation and stuff like that. I know we're all career and seeing now more than ever,
Mhm.
you have a lot of like older people applying to our office now ever since we turned to, all career because
Right.
they need the benefits, they whatever job they had before, like they may have gotten let go or like it got slow because of the economy and stuff like that now. So they're coming in, like, they're coming in, they're working and everything else. But I do know that the benefits is a huge thing right now.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that you're going to get a higher caliber of applicant for a career job. No doubt about it. And you're going to get someone who actually wants the job. They're like, oh, I
Hmm.
like you said, these are
Hmm.
people that need the job for either the benefits, pay, whatever. Um, Sometimes we get people coming in and they could really take it or leave it, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's for a career job with the level of responsibility that we have and the important role that we play in the communities of America. I think we want people that want the job and that are going to
Hmm.
fulfill their duties.
I think what scares me the most is that like retention is not good already. And then like with all the people that are nearing retirement, that's like a good chunk of our workforce. So like
Hmm.
for me, it's like all these people are going to retire and we're not keeping people. And what are we going to do? Because there's not going to be enough of us to deliver the mail at that point.
Yeah, and all this stuff to me is a big concern because there's a focus on cost cutting in government agencies, and we're a quasi government agency, but um, it would be unthinkable before going back 5, 10 years maybe for the post office to say, you know what, we don't have enough people, we're just not going to deliver the mail. But we're seeing that now. We're seeing
Hmm.
that since the pandemic. And
Yep.
if the staffing gets worse, like for example, if they start, they withdraw from the all career model in these offices and they go to all CCAs and they say, well, we don't have enough people to deliver the mail. Oh, well, you know, it's they that's something that is a very very legitimate concern out there right now. So what questions do people still have about the Article 8 changes that go into effect on July the 1st?
Um, I think I think they have a hard time like understanding that you can sign the overtime list or like the NS day for everything except for work assignment. Like they don't understand that that part. And then a
Yeah,
lot
it
of
kind of
people are
doesn't make
also
sense, right?
yeah, and then a lot of people I think are also well stewards particularly are not excited about how they're going to have to equalize something when like management
Hmm.
doesn't equalize it already. Like the equitability is just, they don't understand it already and then you're going to complicate it a little bit more. Well, not even a little bit, it's a lot of bit more.
Yeah, especially, I mean, but we won't get into this until what is that, October 1st? So this quarter is July, August, September.
Mhm.
Once you get to October 1st, 2025, you're going to be looking at equalization, equitability within that quarter, um, and we're going to figure it out, I think. But it's going to be hard, in my opinion. The equitability piece is probably going to be a little bit more complicated for the NSDA people than we would like it to be, because
Mhm.
it's opportunities and hours, and people have different off days. I mean, you think about a small office where they have fixed off days, and you got one person who's on that NS day ODL, and they're off on Saturday, and then you have another person who's on the NS day ODL, and they're off on, let's say, Thursday. That person on Saturday is going to have many more opportunities to work overtime than the person that, their off day is Thursday, I would think. And then we're going to say it's inequitable because we're both on the list. I'm on the list, you're on the list. And the person that was on the list and has that Saturday NS day, they got a lot more opportunities, and then they got a lot more hours, put it like that. They got a lot
Yeah.
more NS days. They worked a lot more 8-hour shifts than I did. And the post office is going to say, well, that's because we didn't need anyone on that person's NS day. So it's going to be a little bit difficult to figure that out, I think. The other list will probably be easier, I think, just the number of hours that you work. But keep in mind, there's the hours that you work over 12 or beyond 60 do not count toward equitability. So that's one thing that's going to be weird, and I'm curious to see how many people are going to start kind of gaming the system, where if you work a lot of overtime early in the week beyond 12 and 60, and then you reach your 60, and then you can say, no, I don't want it, and you still get your workout, you still get your guarantee. If you leave early on Thursday or sometimes Friday or the full day on Friday, you know, you've reached it and you've got your guarantee. And then at the end of the quarter, you're like, man, I didn't get as much overtime as the next person because, you know, they sent me home. And then the postal service is going to say, well, you weren't available because you didn't come to work that day. You know, you had the 8-hour guarantee. So it's going to get really weird, like I say, determining. And then when you try to make it up, if they try to make it up, they have to make it up, I think, within the people that are on that particular list with you. I don't think they can just make it up anywhere. And, you know, people might not, they might move from list to list and whatever. So, but yeah, Sarah, that thing about the work assignment list, we probably should have negotiated that, but maybe the post office pushed back. Sometimes you can only make a certain number of changes before the post office is like, look, that's enough. But logically speaking, and maybe we'll get this next
Yeah.
time. Logically speaking, if you're on the work assignment list on a regular scheduled day, why couldn't you be on, you know, why couldn't you come in on the NS day as well? You know, it doesn't really conflict with anything, so why can't you do it? But current rules, you cannot. You're either on the work assignment list or you're on one of the ODL lists. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, I know you touched on this last episode, but I'm still getting where stewards they want to know as far as like with this quarter, when this quarter, you know, is over, and there are people who were not made equitable for this quarter. They want to know, like, well, next quarter, is there, you know, somehow, some way that management can still catch them up in hours, even if, like, let's say they only sign up for the 12-hour, or like they only do the NS day only. Like, is there somehow, some way that they could still catch them up next quarter?
Yeah, it's going to depend on that union steward that files that grievance and the position that that steward or that branch wants to take. But I think we have a good argument to say that you can't make us up because that list doesn't exist, because the makeup has always been in comparison to the other people on the list. So if we're both on the list, the ODL, because there's only just an ODL right now in Q2 of 2025, me and you, Renee, we're on the list. And you get 200 hours, and I only get 150. And we say, okay, I want 50 more hours than you get in the next quarter. That would equalize it, right? So the next quarter, I get 50 more than you because you got 50 more than me in this quarter, and they make it up to me and they equalize it, and it's fair to everybody. But the list no longer exists. So now you're gonna give me 50 extra hours in comparison to who? Random people that may or may not even have been on that particular, well, they were not on that particular list in Q2 because that list doesn't exist. So to me, the equalizing opportunity no longer exists for the Postal Service. But of course, you're going to file a grievance, you're going to try to settle the grievance, and you're going to see what they offer, and you know, that kind of thing.
Okay, thank you for touching on that.
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
So
Is there anything that you want to talk about as far as with Wednesday, with the roundtable that you're gonna set up there at State? Did you want to talk at all about that? You know, the
I know what you want to
topic
talk about.
discussion.
I'm actually excited for this roundtable.
Renee does not want to talk about the roundtable.
Well, Renee likes the tea.
Yeah,
She's
so
like,
there's
she's
a
literally the emoji with the eyes going back and forth. That's Renee.
for those of you going to the Illinois State Convention, Illinois State Association of Letter Carriers Convention this week. It will be in Springfield, Illinois, officially Friday and half a day on Saturday. But we begin with meetings and trainings and stuff like that as early as Wednesday and all day Thursday. There's an MDA golf event on Thursday. And originally, President Renfro was going to come to the convention, and we had sent him a letter. Well, the state president, Louis Rivas, had sent him a letter on our behalf, those of us that are, members of the Illinois State Association of Letter Carriers. And we asked President Renfro if he was going to come, if he could please bring with him the resolutions from previous conventions that he relied upon in implementing the terms of the current contract. He's been saying that, those things came from resolutions from the convention. And in the letter, we said, hey, bring the resolutions that are relied upon, and then just let us know which things were not part of a previous convention resolution. We'd like to know that. We just kind of want to gauge that. And then if you can please let us know this mediation / arbitration process. How did it play out? What were the items that, you had 2 days of mediated talks, and after those 2 days, were there any issues still in dispute? Were there any issues that we were not accepting of, that we insisted on putting on any form of an arbitration hearing, expedited, regular, whatever? The letter was short, but this is the gist of it. Bring this information with you, brother, when you come to the convention, so we can have an intelligent conversation. But anyway, he instead assigned Vice President James Henry to come to the convention. So James is coming out, I think, on Wednesday. I don't know what time he'll get there, because we have a meeting, all the branch presidents. I hold a meeting with them on Wednesday afternoon. I don't think he'll make it in time for that, but he'll certainly be there for Thursday, all the trainings that are going on, MDA golf, the different events on Thursday evening. I know you guys are having like a bowl-a-thon, whatever, for the leader. What are you guys calling that? The bowl off or whatever? What is that?
Uh, I don't know. So they just like my class is my regional leadership class is all about raising money for LickPiff. So they since we're literally troublemakers, we wanted to instigate a
In
little
a good
bit
way.
and challenge the other classes to make it fun and get more people involved with it, and keep raising money for good causes like that. So
Awesome.
yeah.
And that'll be Thursday night. I know there's a lot of activities, and then Friday we're gonna have a rap session Friday morning, 8 a.m. That I'm hosting as the business agent, and then we'll have the convention all day on Friday, and then we'll have different social activities and picnics and things like that. And then there's a big mixer on Friday night. And so James called me and he said, hey, I want to let you know I got assigned to the convention. I said, that's great, brother. Um, I actually proposed to him, just so you guys know, because you guys and I, we have been talking, and I had talked with the state president about
Mhm.
setting aside some time after business, not like during any business session, for me to do the campaign speech and take questions and, kind of do the campaign thing. I've been going around the country doing that
Mhm.
everywhere else. Why not do that in Illinois? So I was talking with the state president about possibly doing that on Friday night, and I invited James to join me in that. He's the
Mhm.
candidate for president. Um, we didn't talk for a long time. He indicated that possibly he would not be able to, well, he didn't think he'd be able to do that because
Mhm.
he will be on assignment. I don't necessarily agree with his assessment on that, because I think that your assignment is to attend the state convention, just like I would be on assignment to attend the state convention. And once you fulfilled your duties by attending the convention, what you do in the evening, if you're doing campaign activities or whatever, or if you're going, hanging out with your family or whatever, I think you're free to do that. I don't think an assignment is a 24-hour a day assignment. I don't agree with that. So hopefully, Brother Henry will be able to come out on Friday night and take some questions from the members, that kind of thing. I think it's as important for me to take questions as anyone who's a candidate for president, to be accessible and take questions. And he was at that event in branch 2184, I believe it is, outside of Detroit, when he called me. And so he had Corey Walton there because they were both at the event. And he said, hey, Corey's thinking about coming too. And I said, hey, great, bring it on. So Corey gets on the phone. He says, hey, is it okay if I come out? I said, of course, brother. And he's looking to come out for that Friday night and leave on Saturday. So I don't know what his accessibility. He's a candidate for executive vice president. He will take questions. I know that's why you brought this up, Renee, because you have some
Yeah.
questions for him.
No, yeah, and I want to know, is this gonna be before or after the pub crawl? Because if it's after the pub crawl, I may have
Well,
Oh no.
a couple more questions. I may have a couple more questions if after the pub crawl. So is it before or after the pub crawl?
we're looking at doing it after the pub crawl,
Oh, okay.
but you can get root beer at a couple of those spots. So you don't have to overindulge. Um, Corey Walton does not drink. I think he'll have a shot once in a while, but he doesn't drink. So you're not going to be able to get him drunk and get any answers out of him that you're looking for. But far as I know, he's always been accessible to people and
Yeah,
willing to take
straightforward. Yeah.
questions. So um, I know there's a lot of people that have some issues with some of the things that he said and done. And all, like I said, they may have questions for me. They may have questions for James, anyone. I think that we're doing a disservice to the members by not making any candidate available, for any question or thought that, discussion that members want to have. We have a lot of time until the election, and that's what we need to be doing. And I keep promoting that ranked choice voting, and I'm gonna be talking with both of them about that when they're at the convention, is that ranked choice voting allows for us to have as many candidates as we want to have, and allows for the members to make sure they're getting the person they want, and that person is getting at least 50, has at least the majority of the support of the members of the union when they go to vote. Because in the way we do it now, you could have a split vote and you split it 4 or 5 ways and somebody wins with like 30% of the vote. And I don't think that's what we want as a union. We want to be able to figure out who we want as our president, as our, any position. And then we want to unite behind that person because we know that that's the will of the membership. And if only 30% of the people vote for a particular person, the rest of us, the 70% that didn't vote for that person, are going to have a lot of resentment and we're not going to feel good about it. So I'm going to keep pushing that ranked choice voting system. It does require a change in the Constitution, but I'm going to keep pushing it. So we'll see. I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to do different activities. You started by talking about the roundtable. We're gonna film an episode of this, might drop Monday, with some of the people that are there at the convention. We'll see what kind of questions you guys have for them. My idea is I want them to be able to tell members out there that are not from Illinois, they've been dealing with me for 10 years plus. What are the pros and cons? What is my leadership style? What do they people have to look forward to if they were to elect me as the president? Let's talk about it. That's the type of roundtable I want to have. But however you guys set it up and whatever format you do is fine by me. I'll be there. We're doing
Yeah.
that on Wednesday night, 8 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, everyone. Please be safe out there. It is very hot this weekend in Chicago, and I know around the country it's starting to get hot. And just take all the precautions that you need to take breaks as needed, get in the air conditioning if you have to. Remember, a comfort stop is anything you have to do in order to keep working. So normally it's going to the bathroom, but a comfort stop is also if you need to get in the air conditioning, if you need to stop and drink water, if you need to run through the fire hose, if whatever. Please do that out there so that you don't succumb to any type of heat illness or whatever, and take the breaks that you need out there, especially if you have been off work for a period of time, or if it's all of a sudden a very hot day and your body hasn't had a chance to acclimate to the heat. Please be safe out there, brothers and sisters.